Over a year ago, I set up this really interesting experiment where I crossbred some Yeerongpilly shrimp. So today we're going to be talking about the results of this experiment a year on, and I don't know how much longer I want to run it, but I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by how well this went. So I honestly didn't expect myself to keep this project going for this long. I made a video where I updated it at 6 months, and maybe that wasn't enough time to show the true results. So it's been way longer than a year now, and I'm honestly surprised on kind of how this went. I'm not a geneticist. I've got fucking no clue on how shrimp genetics work, but I'm just going to show you what happened. I didn't run this experiment probably as scientific as I could have. I started out with, I believe, 5 of each color of shrimp in the tanks, and I just kind of threw the shrimp in there, randomly mixed it, and like there was no scientific process to it. So I've got a blue and yellow mix, a blue and orange mix, a yellow and red mix, and an orange and red mix. I didn't choose those colors for any specific reason. I think they were just what I had on hand and how I mixed them on the day. But what I would have done is, if there was a blue and yellow mix, I would have put 5 blues and 5 yellows. I didn't choose sexes. I didn't do anything like that. It was just 5 yellow, 5 blue that went together. The other thing I did to keep this experiment as simple as possible was I just set the tanks up with a sponge filter. That was it. I put the shrimp in, a sponge filter, my normal tap water, and I just let them do their thing. I fed them bug buffet probably once every couple of days, depending on how many shrimp there were in there. And if you go back and watch that video, you'll see like the results at that point. I had a few issues with a couple of the tanks. So the blue and yellow mix went well. The blue and orange mix went well. The yellow and red crashed and went to shit. And then the orange and red mix, I think, did pretty well. And there was like heaps of shrimp, but I think they were mostly red. And since then, I kind of like left it. I was just keeping them as I was, and I've added a few things to the tanks just to help with the shrimp's breeding, because I thought that there was like a few things missing. So we've added a pot plant to each tank, a few anubias. A few of the tanks have snails now, and this is what I mean. Like, it's not a purely scientific experiment, but we didn't start with that original mix, so you're going to get some kind of idea on how it went. But this might just be a good indication on, if you guys wanted to do this at home, like maybe what might happen. But like, for me to know the genetics of shrimp, I'm not really interested. I just wanted to mix them. So let's go tank by tank, and I'll just describe to you what's happening. All right, so we'll start off with the blue and yellows. Now, in here, keep in mind I'm colorblind, so this is like, I'm the worst person to be doing this for you guys. But in here, we've got still blues. We've got like some nice royal kind of looking blue shrimp, and we do have like a few yellows. I haven't really looked in this tank since the last time I would have filmed it, which would have been literally 6 months ago. I think that there's maybe been a little bit of a crash here in the tank, and there's not that many shrimp. This does happen time to time, like you might just, have something go wrong. I mean, these tanks are in the shop, so it's easy for something to go wrong. So we've still got our blues, we've still got like a couple of yellows in here. But the interesting thing in this tank is the wild type shrimp, like basically looking like your standard Neocaridina. The other thing that's interesting in here is there's also a red shrimp. So I don't know where he would have come from. There's some black shrimp in here. Yeah, just like a weird mix. So like the rumor on the street with shrimp is that if you mix them together, you end up getting just brown and dull shrimp. And I don't know, I think like if I did leave this for even longer, like 5 years, maybe they'd go all wild type eventually. Like, it looks like it's leaning towards that happening. But over the short term, I don't think this is something really to worry about. And if I wanted to keep color in here, I could just continually go and add new genetics in here, and like I doubt that wild type would overtake the whole tank. So yeah, the blue and the yellow mix, kind of interesting. We'll go over to this one now. This is the blue and the orange. So the orange and the yellow shrimp must have had really similar genetics, because I feel like are probably the exact same, just culled differently. But this is probably the most interesting crossbreed tank that I've got. In here, we've got this really cool Rilly shrimp. So Rilly shrimp have like a colored head, pale middle, and then colored tail. We've got a few Rilly shrimp in here. There's still some orange shrimp in here. There's a few yellowy looking ones. There's lighter shades. There's wild types. There's the Rillies, which I think are really neat. There's black shrimp, there's a few blue shrimp in here still too. There's just like a really good mix in here. These bred quite abundantly. There's probably a good 150 in here. They were nothing crazy, but over a year, I mean, that's not too bad. So the Rilly shrimp are probably the neatest thing in here, I'd say, but that was kind of an interesting mix as well. We'll move over here. This one's the yellow and the red. Now, this tank, I remember it crashed really early on. It didn't do good. There was like one yellow shrimp and like a few red cherry shrimp left in there. Since then, the tank's gone nuts, and these are probably the nicest red shrimp I have in the entire store. I don't know if the mix between the yellow shrimp and the red shrimp combined to create like these Bloody Marys with like amazing coloration, but like these shrimp are the nicest red cherry shrimp I've seen in my life. I'd actually consider these to be Bloody Marys, I think, but they just made the nicest red shrimp I've ever seen. So there's hardly any yellows in here. There's like, for every 100 reds, there might be like 2 yellows. But yeah, the red shrimp have just gone nuts and they look phenomenal. I could probably start a beautiful population from this, and I probably will. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this mix went. I'm surprised at how well it bounced back. There's babies all over the tank, like literally all over the sides and the walls of here. There's babies. So yeah, it was a really interesting mix, and to see it bounce back so well is surprising. I don't know why these tanks don't have as many babies. Obviously because this isn't like a true experiment. Maybe they got less water changes or something, but there's a heap of babies in here. And then we'll move to the orange and red. Now, this tank has a pretty even mix between reds and yellows. I don't see any orange shrimp in here. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I think the orange was bred out of them, and there's really nice red shrimp like the tank we were just looking at before, but there's also, yeah, like a really nice quality yellow in here. And the interesting thing about these two tanks is I feel like those shrimp didn't actually create any of the wild types, so I don't know if the genetics are like really similar and they either breed yellow or red, and they don't create that like cross mix where like the orange and the blues created like that wild type. None of that happened in these two tanks, so I'm really fascinated by that. And also they bred abundantly, like they bred like insanely well. There's heaps of babies in here. And I'm kind of pointing it down to the fact that I think that these two mixes just seem to work better than the other ones. The only thing being is that you just don't get the color variation. So yeah, we didn't really get any Rillies out of these mixes either. It was just like it either created a Bloody Mary shrimp or a yellow shrimp, and that was all that happened. So I don't know if this video is like, I just kind of wanted to quickly whip the camera out and show you the tanks while I was thinking about them. I'll probably make another video and we'll go like really in depth and look at like a ton of the shrimp, but this is just like a quick overview on what happened, how the tanks went, and gives you an idea of something fun to do at home. So thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.